to go live after so long and it's late. So I was thinking about giving y'all some time to get in here, but I am going to leave the video up and I have a lot on my mind. And this is cranberry juice. I don't know how I got into the habit of winding down with cranberry juice. Like, I know how I got into the habit. I'll get into that a little bit. So, um, yeah, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. I don't film as much anymore, and it goes with the title. It's because I really let myself have some quiet time. It felt weird, and sometimes it still feels weird to just outright just be quiet and not feel compelled. And even if I do feel compelled to just silence my mind, and I would say last year was an uproar for everybody, right? Hey, Krishna. People coming into live chat. I know people are going to watch this on replay and ask why am I like getting scattered or getting distracted because I film these live and then people watch them back and it's like it's all over the place, but it's not because you guys are coming in. But I want to say this. So, what happened to me is that a lot happened, right, in 2020 for everybody, without a shadow of a doubt. And I said it in a prior video. I personally felt that there was just too much noise, external noise. And it was enough to drive anybody crazy just based on the external things if you live in the real world. If you have a job, okay? If you're paying bills, if you are self-sufficient, it was like everything started shaking and rocking. Now, I have been through change before, but last year was definitely a year of change. And I would say for a lot of people, it was traumatic. I could say for me, it did have traumatic elements, and they affected me more. And I'm being careful with my words because this channel is about me and no one else. It's just about me. So, but of course, I don't live in a bubble, right? And when you understand that about life in general, especially with a more mature mind, you're able to rebalance your scales. However, you have to do that. That is super important for you to rebalance what your needs are. And I feel like I have been speaking on these same topics for like years, like back not in my last apartment, but my prior apartment. I remember I used to just come on and talk about reassessing what your daily needs are. Hey, naturally Shay. And what I recognize was when the whole world was rocking and shaking and nobody could deny like things were like what they never were before and very uncertain times. I recognized number one that my needs and my tolerance were so different than what everybody else needed. One major thing I learned about myself last year and this year is I'm not mainstream. I am so far from mainstream, like so far. So like, whoo, there's the mainstream and there's me. And I'm not even trying to like boast about not being mainstream and like call it something or label it something, but it goes into this idea of cutting. I cut off so many people, places, and things. So many for the sake of being quiet. And at first, I didn't know why I needed to be quiet. I just felt like there was too much noise, and I was just like all over the place, like boom, 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 boom. Like it was just too much from the shutdown to people getting laid off to the political uproar to people storming the Capitol. It was like where we at? What year we at? Right? And what I recognize, you guys should know this, is that fear doesn't work for me, right? So when I recognize that fear doesn't work for me, and I'm gonna be controversial, and I haven't made videos in a while because I know that my opinions are not mainstream, and I'm just gonna cut to the chase because I don't need anything from this platform. That's I don't need anything from you people that are listening. I appreciate you and I like that we can have this dialogue. But one thing that I recognize is that I am fully self-aware that no one besides God, no human being can promise you a life without pain or a life without death. What you can promise yourself is your capabilities to make your life as comfortable and as easy and as beneficial to you. And also, what I learned in that same takeaway is I'm not here to criticize anybody else's mindset, right? Because I don't want anybody else criticizing mine. It taught me to be very respectful of other people's mindsets and of their fear, even if I don't have those fears, because I know for me, fear doesn't work. Um, and I could say I'm afraid of being like fearful, but afraid is not the right word. I'm cautious, and I think you should see fear as a threat, no matter what how it entails in your life. This encompasses so many things. Even if you're working on your job and they're always making you feel like you're not doing good enough, don't allow that to make you fearful or anxious, because even when you hear the word fearful, there comes anxiety, there comes threat, there comes all these connotations about it's just complete negative, right? When you even think of the word fear, I'm just afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. And then you're just like, gotta take care of this, gotta take care of that. And for me, I have to release it to a higher power. I can only do so much, just like you can only do so much. You can only do what it takes to make you feel comfortable. And once I was able to really recognize that thought, it's like I know it in my Noah that I can only do what I can do to make myself comfortable. That automatically puts me ahead of the game. So many people are looking for the external to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel less afraid, to make them feel something, to direct them. And that is a precaution for me, because one thing that I do notice is that it's all a word that I really don't function out of. Somebody else brought it up to me over the weekend. It was like, wow, I don't even think about that word like at all, because it's so far from my realm. It's a manipulation tactic. And if you recognize that the only point of fear is to manipulate you into action, that's up to you how you deal with that. Me, I'm not going to allow fear to run me anywhere, because I'm better than that. I am better and bigger than my emotions. So in that process, of course, I had to cut off mainstream media. Of course, I had to tell people, "Hey, stop telling me certain things. I can't get hyper with you." I mean, we've been hype. Our adrenal glands are like just overdrive. We done sat up here and got fat. You know, we done ate all the snacks. We done sat down, and now what? Now what? Right? So I'm always, thinking ahead. You guys can call it overthinking, but I'm thinking for me. You think for you, but I'm thinking for me. So when I recognized that, and I just felt like when Texas started going back to status quo the way things were pretty early on, and I was like, man, first of all, the word cutting for me is like so important, because I had to cut off people. And I'm still like, I cut off so many people, and even like people that I have to like regularly see because of my boyfriend or whatever. Like, they probably think I'm acting funny, but what I recognize is I owe them nothing. They owe me nothing, I owe them nothing. But what I do owe myself is a level of comfort and peace in my life. And for me, that is internal and from above. And a lot of people can't give that to you right now. And once you're quiet and you do cut it off, like you cut off things and people that are not serving you, and you cut off the idea that fear is going to move you, you can then assess, okay, what do I have left? And cutting off goes with my word of no, because I started saying no to a whole bunch of things. I'm more likely to tell you no right now than yes, and that's just where I'm at in my life. I cannot give it, because it was such a draining experience that I personally felt that if I was going to give you anything, it was not going to be from a giving, loving place. It was going to be from exhaustion, being frantic, feeling pressured. So I just had to start saying no. No, no. I do not owe anybody anything when I feel that I am in a shaky environment. If I am in a shaky place, I am not going to sit here and just eat my feelings and watch the news and listen to other people put me in a frantic panic. Okay, I'm just like I did it for some time. I can't, right? Because one thing about me is that I am my own responsibility. Period. Period. You. Period. You. Period. Okay. I am my emotional state, and the things that I need and my comfort level are my own responsibility. So if I have to tell people no, I have to be comfortable with that because I know that I am not responsible for them. I'm not responsible for their emotions. I'm not responsible. I'm literally not. I'm not responsible for how people perceive me, and I know that goes against the mainstream. And I do want to talk about it, because with the mainstream being what it is, I don't want to. I don't want because I feel like some of y'all probably have not thought about this, but I want everybody to know this message. Once you recognize you are not responsible for how other people see you, I really do not believe you should make your living as a regular person based on how other people see you. That is very dangerous to your mind, spirit, and soul. We see what happens to all these different people in this new digital age. It's so much chatter, and then it becomes like a puppet, like somebody else or something else is pulling their strings. And when you're quiet, because it goes back to being quiet and cutting off things that don't serve you, if you do it long enough, you'll pick up the spirit of discernment so heavily where you can see through. And I will tell you that that ideology is not being used by people so much so they're like me. I'm just doing it for my own satisfaction, like my own self worth. The majority of people who are doing that are doing it to find out what to sell you and how to manipulate you into a sale, how to manipulate you into a cash app, how to manipulate you into buying something. And I don't go for it. I have no tolerance for it, like none, because I know that life is so much bigger than that. I find great worry for people who never have anything to give. They can't give nobody nothing. They can't give you a clue, a direction, a shoe. They can't give you 5, 10, 20, $100. They can give you nothing, but they're on the take. And that is the mainstream hurricane that we are building in this society. And I say that if you follow me on Instagram, whatever, you don't have to because it's not important to me. I just do it for my own little, memory keeping. But I've been like tracking my fitness journey, and I've been like doing a lot of yoga. I started doing yoga just because as I began to like cut away things, I was like, okay, I need to start exercising again. But I'm getting older and my knees, and I just want to do something different. And I always just want to do yoga. So I joined an overpriced gym. And they have like hot yoga there and a whole lot of other things. And most of the clientele there is like middle age. And then I started spending like a lot of time in the gym because I'm not watching TV. I'm not trying to like bridge past relationships. I'm not trying to beg people to be what I need them to be. It freed up so much of my time, like so much, so much. And I do want to tie in. I knew that whatever was in the past, whether it be family, economy, society, politics, has so much changed, like overnight for me, it seems. So I couldn't stay there. Like I feel like I could have been like a big social media person if I came out and just stormed the gates and gave you guys all my political views, all my religious views, think it would have been good in that moment, like cathartic, but I could see how it would have went to like a toxic place because I can be very insightful and also inflammatory. I can really like push people's intellectual buttons, right? And I just didn't feel like that was a place for me. I feel like because once I did end up like debating the people that I felt like debating, what I recognized was I was tired. And I was like, okay, self, why are you gonna keep doing things that are making you tired? Like that makes no sense. No sense. I'm gonna spend my free time doing things that are making me tired and are not benefiting me. I had to cut that. I had to cut it. I had to say no to it, and I had to tell a lot of past things goodbye. Like, and and I've said this for a decade now, and I'll save you so much therapy. You can go if you want to go, but I'll save you a whole bunch of inner work by telling you this. No matter what anybody tells you, like I told you, nobody is going to give you a comfort and a peace but you. The world can't give you a life without pain, and it cannot promise you a life without death. So your comfort and your peace are up to you. Nobody's going to establish that for you. Quit begging the past, trying to make the memories and the squares fit. It don't line up. It never lined up. It won't line up. Let it go, right? And once you cut that away, and I do feel like for all minority people, it is a big, heavy bag of the past that we are taught to carry. We are taught to carry everybody and drag on eons and eons of pain. I believe in taking the best of the bad experience, taking the lessons of the bad experience, and carrying that along. And I think because I live in such a diverse environment, it's really amazing to me how many cultures just wake up carefree. Now we could wake up carefree too because they're our neighbors. We can wake up carefree, but we have been indoctrinated and conditioned with this holding on of the past. There are so many people that I know. If you talk to them for more than 15 minutes, they're gonna tell you a story from 10, 15, 2, 3, 5 years ago. And you be like, really? Do you know how much stuff I've done in like 3 years, 2 years? You remember that and you still talking about that? That's still damaging to you. And I'm not saying that damage is not done, but I will tell you this, and this is just me. I'm giving you some real things that mainstream society is bucking against, but they're absolutely true. This life is full of trauma. I'm sorry, you're not the first person with trauma. You're not the last person with trauma. For you to get on this planet, you had to break out of somebody's nether regions. As you came through, I mean, like you traumatized somebody to get here, and you think you're gonna live a life with no trauma? You think that trauma should be your lifelong vocation? You're gonna sit here, whether it be on the internet or in real life, and want everybody to know what triggers you, want everybody to know what offends you. You're gonna make that your life vocation. Like, why are you doing that? Like, you really think that? Like, you spent, even though you came through trauma to get on this planet, you were allowed to live the first 5 years of your life and this happy, joyous delusion. But all of a sudden, you're going to take your intelligent brain and allow it to develop and just rehash your past and all the hurt it has caused you? Whew! You know what I mean? And it's like, and it just sometimes it's simple messages that come back to you, whether you believe it or not. Even the Bible says, pick up your bed and walk. It doesn't say remake it, rewash it, rehash it. It say pick it up and walk. Just pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, and walk. It don't even tell you to where to walk to. It just tells you to pick it up and walk. You know, and I hate, and maybe I don't hate. I know that it's like a hard reality for some people. But if you gain that mentality, you're less likely to be manipulated because while people are trying to make you a comfortable bed, you always gotta wonder why are they doing that? Why is somebody gonna take from their pocket to give to you to make you comfortable? Especially if you're not their responsibility. What's wrong with them that they can't go find a new hobby? And I don't care who it is. I really don't care. I really don't. because those words ring very true. And there's a lot of codependent people, and there, and that's, can go whichever kind of way that you want to look at it, but it's up to you to translate if you need to be codependent for this lifetime. I don't like just that's just me personally. I don't need codependency. Like that for me would not be my fullest life. And even if I had to eat rice and beans and ramen noodles, there's so much joy of waking up with freedom and being in your own territory. And I say being in your own territory, it's not just being in your own house, which is a big thing, but just owning the space that you're in. And I'll tie that all the way back to my yoga. Is because when I started cutting all this stuff off, I wanted to work out. I needed to lose weight. I couldn't lose any weight walking around the neighborhood. Couldn't lose any weight changing my diet. I was like, I got to go to the gym because. Okay, am I unfrozen? I think I'm unfrozen. And now I clicked on something. I need to work on my tech skills or whatever. Okay, so now I'm back. Okay, I don't know. Everything happens for a reason, right? So, okay, can we get this off of here? Let's just do normal. I think I'm just gonna be stuck, so now I can't really fully see myself because I've got something blocking myself there now. Okay, so anyways, so I need to lose weight and all this kind of jazz, right? Picking my train of thought back up. I started going to yoga, and it's when things are starting to reopen. I started going to yoga in April. Yeah, in April. And I go at a standard gym, so it's not the spiritual side of yoga. It's the exercise of yoga, right? Which the spiritual side of yoga is very interesting as well. But I'll save that topic for a whole nother yoga video because I am definitely yoga obsessed, like without a shadow of a doubt. And I learned so much there. And I posted on my Instagram like last week or so of this week, like within the last 7 days, is like one thing that the practice of yoga has really solidified for me is this idea of number one, yoga is a practice. It's not something you perfect, it's something you practice, right? And you're only responsible for what you bring to the space and what you can do in the space. And it's so interesting because we'll have different instructors and they have different teaching methods. Some people will tell you to leave everything off the mat and just come there with fresh breath. And then some people will say, you can't check it all at the door. Bring it with you and move through it as you go. And I do want to make like a whole separate video of just different things I've learned through yoga because sometimes you have to sit there and you have to hold the poses, right? And one lady was saying, and they're hard, like you sweating, because I go to hot yoga, you're sweating and everything like that. And one lady said that, about feeling abandoned, like when you want to quit, don't abandon yourself. And then she sat and she was just like, a lot of us have abandonment issues in this American society because I'm gonna add this, they're grooming that into you. Be careful how this current society is grooming you because they are grooming you for something like we've never seen before. People have never been groomed in this way. Even this going from screen to screen. You from this screen to that screen, you screened out all day. You getting dressed up to sit here and be on a screen. And then when I go to the grocery store, I'm like, what's wrong with these women? They're looking like, whatever. But that, anyways, you're being groomed for something. And don't quit on yourself. Don't be abandoned. Don't abandon yourself. And she took it further as she sat there. She said, a lot of us are afraid of being abandoned. Hey, AJ, a lot of us are afraid of being abandoned for many reasons in this current society. But just know that if people abandon you, it's because something new that you were ready to make it and move it on your own. And it was a complete aha moment for me. Like I'm sitting there, I'm sweating, I'm exercising, and I felt physically weak at that time, but I didn't want to abandon myself. I wanted to keep going. And I just thought about, and it's so weird, right? I just thought about all the things that I ever felt had abandoned me. And in that moment, I was able to release so many things, like just full release. No longer needed to hold on to them because it was like, why am I holding on to the idea of abandonment or lost things that are lost. Ooh, I can make a whole video about things that are lost because so many people lose stuff and then you holding on to it for a decade. It's like it's gone. Person gone. Person moved on. They don't, baby, I done left the state. You still holding on? You holding on to that memory? Where have you been? You still you past. You living in the past, okay? I cannot, I will not allow myself to hold on to that. So I cut it off. And I also, in yoga, you can use like yoga blocks and things like that. When we first started back going to the gym, they were not allowing you to use like yoga blocks and different things because they wanted to like release contamination. And so we just had the mats and they would lay out the towels. And then when I really recognized that I'm only responsible for what I bring to the space, I started to bring my own mat. And I was like, it sounds so silly and it sounds so stupid. Sounds so trivial is the word. But when I recognize, it's like no matter what room I'm in, this space of me is my territory. And I get to control how and where this goes. This is under my control. I may not be able to control anything else outside of my current perimeter, but this is mine. And it was such a freeing concept for me because I'm a human being too. And sometimes things and memories and pain and trauma, they shackle themselves to us. But what I really did learn over this past year as I really cut things back, right, is that and hung around diverse people and went to different places. What I really learned is that the shackle is only up here and it's not even up there. You can release it. You can turn your gaze to something else completely different. And it's like, why would I allow myself to be mentally shackled to something that is lost to me? Okay, I know that sometimes we're going to cry some tears, baby, but we're going to put an expiration date on those tears. If that person has gone on with their life and they don't have a tear for you, don't you give them one. If that job was willing to say, we don't need you anymore, well, clearly you didn't need it either because you're still eating. Because I'm not seeing people starving in this country right now. Y'all are eating very well, okay? So it's like, wow, like I don't have to like hold on to it. I don't have to have like repetitive thoughts like over and over in my mind. And I don't even have to like reach out or reach back to people who are fighting and kicking and criticizing against me because that's not a good use of my energy. And it's not done with an attitude. Like, even as I'm telling you right now, there's no attitude behind it at all because I'm doing that for the sake of what I can control and what I can enjoy and what I can achieve, and to speak to people who do need help, who do feel inspired by just my presence. You know what I mean? And it's not even like a big thing. I'll just use it in a trivial way with yoga. Girl, when I first started, I was an extra, I think I lost 20 pounds. So I was 20 pounds heavier coming out last year, not exercising. And I used to be huffing and puffing through that thing, but I would never quit. Like, I would keep going. I never left the room. I stayed in the room on my mat and I struggled at my own pace. And so many people like around me, my neighbors, would congratulate me and would tell me how I helped them to keep going. The fact that I didn't quit. And it was like such a simple thing like that. It made they look like they were in better shape than me, and they wanted to give up. They was like, "Well, I stopped, but I saw you didn't stop, so I kept going too." And it's like just that positive piece of affirmation because I don't come from a place of positive affirmation. That's not. I've already talked about that in a whole different kind of look. I'm black. I'm blackity black black. Okay, we know the stereotypical 1980s style of talking to black people and black children. That's what I come from, okay? So when I think about what it takes to transform your mind when you're not trying to conform your mind, right? Because that's what I recognized was happening to me is that I didn't want to be, I couldn't be something within me would not allow me to conform to the mainstream. Something about me knows that I'm not supposed to be afraid. Something about me knows that I'm not supposed to be all aesthetic and no substance. Something about me knows that I'm not supposed to be talking crazy and offensive when other people are hurting or suffering or can't handle it. Something about me just knows that it's not in my best interest to even talk negatively about people. No matter if people think that's what life is about, that's not what it's about for me. And what it allows me to do is to be free. And not only just like mentally free, it allows me to move in a freer life. And I know that I have a lot of luxury in my life. And I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about the luxury of time and free thought. Like sometimes I go to the gym because my gym has a pool, it has showers, it has jacuzzi, it has a place that you can have like coffee and food. Sometimes I go to the gym for like 3 or 4 hours, and I don't have to answer to anyone, and I can work on me and deal with that. And what amazes me is like when I'm in that space, it's me taking care of my physical body for many reasons, not just vanity. It's like I want to get my blood pressure down. My knees were hurting me. I'm working from home. I'm crunched over a laptop all day, and I needed to like do some physical things, but it carved out because I've been on salary now for almost 10 years. You know how that goes. There's no overtime money. Your pay is your pay. You're not going to get anything extra. But I would still find myself working 12-hour days or whatever. 10-hour days is the norm. And it allowed me to cut that off and come to a space where I could shut my mouth and just move what I had. And one thing that I know that I struggle with and that I'm working through, I'll say working through, is the spirit of being judgmental. Because what I recognize is that, especially, and you guys have heard this because it sounds like a soundbite, why are, African American women so unhealthy, whether it be in their weight or in their, diagnosis of, real medical things, is because we don't have time to take care of ourselves. A lot of us spend so much time taking care of other people. And my heart goes out to that. And it's a big topic for me because I have to let go of guilt that I feel because I don't have to do that. I do not have to do that. But I think we all can make the choice about what, like I said, are we truly responsible for, and cutting away things that don't really serve us so that we can move a freer, more, my word is liberated lifestyle, so that we can really unshackle ourselves from things that are taking us nowhere. Like nowhere, just like traumatized after traumatized after traumatized. And let me tell you what happened. And ooh girl, and then what I found myself saying, what people really found it offensive was, wait a minute, how long ago was that? Oh, what year is this? People really found that offensive. But I do want to say it wasn't just leaving toxic friends and family. For me, more importantly, it was more important for me to remove a toxic thought life, right? Because if your mind is toxic, you it don't matter how many people cut off because it's you. You are the toxic one. And when I say cutting off a toxic mindset, is really cutting back anything that's not taking you anywhere. Like, how many times are you going to struggle and argue to or argue with the same scenarios, whether it be a human person, whether it be anxiety, whether it be depression, whether it be your weight? How many times are you going to let that stop your movement in life? Now, I'm not saying that these things do not affect people, but once again, the word does say pick up your bed and walk. It doesn't tell you to lay down and wallow in it. And that idea of laying down and wallowing in something is a whole new concept that is being groomed and conditioned into people. And I'm very, nope. I will tell you no in a minute, because I know that makes you ripe for manipulation. That makes you ripe to be sold to, because you're gonna need something. When you down there laying and wallowing on the ground, you're gonna be looking for so much comfort. I can sell you a blanket. I can sell you a pill. I can sell you a knee pad. I can sell you a waist trainer. Cause you just down there. You just down. You so down, somebody could give you give you anything, you'll take it. And it's like, come on, like I don't want to get too, but that's how I feel. I feel like, cause when you're in a down place, everything look good to you, cause you on rock bottom. It must be better up there. I'm down here. Give me what you got. Let me listen to you, please, please, please. It's so important, and I think because I have always had a heavy spirit of discernment. Um, I would say that I came from an environment where you were either the victim or the victor. You were either oppressed or the oppressor. So I understand that a lot of people and a lot of money is made based off of those concepts. And if you don't think, oh, that doesn't matter, it doesn't matter that they're putting a price on this, or that, hey, I used to watch this for fun, and now every time I turn around, they're trying to sell me something. Like, it does matter. Because it's like, what is it really all about? Media, have taken what we think is genuine to a point that no one believes anything anymore. Whatever you say, I can come against it, because the level of just genuine connection and genuine people, we are like dinosaurs. We are like the last of the Mohicans. We keeping our mouth shut because we don't want to offend anybody, and we don't. And I don't want to encourage people to do anything but to light their own personal fire, their own personal joy, to really gauge what it means to have your own territory, whether that be a physical home, a physical space, a yoga mat, or just this. What does it mean to really, number one, what is your territory? That's the, ooh, now see, that does give me attitude. That does give me attitude because it's really amazing to me that the most unhappy people that I ever encountered have no territory at all, have no authority at all. They will shake and rattle and can't even roll. They have nothing to give. Nothing to offer, nothing. But they need now. They in need. Um, and those are the people that are now given platforms to use a megaphone to tell you what you should buy from them, or how you should feel, or let me give you a story time about this. And I'm not saying, like, I get it, right? We do get it, right? Entertainment. But it's kind of like people are using this, everybody, not just one, two people. So many people are using it as a lifestyle. And when I say it, like, an ungenuine disposition, an ungenuine take on life. They're not genuine, and more people are starting to accept that. I'm not just talking about social media, I'm talking about in real life too. Like, even when you go apply for a job, and it's like, there's all kinds of things out there on the internet. It's like, well, why do you want to work here? And it's like, in your mind's like, because I don't want to starve. But in reality, you must say, it's because I just think this is a great environment for me, a great company. I love what you guys have done with X, Y, and Z. But, that's the kind of world that we have created. And I know I'm going to go very far out right now, because that's kind of things that have been on my mind lately, is that we have created this world. I don't know why we created this world the way that we have. We have created this society that we're in right now. And, like, I have to explain things to my boyfriend sometimes. We're in the same age group. He's just like a few years older than me. But as a man, he kind of filters out a whole bunch of stuff that is catered to women, which is a lot of just fear and need and never enough. Most men don't thrive off those things, but it's really being, like, pumped into women. Like, just pump up the jam. Give them some more. Give them some more fear. Give them some more they don't have enough. Give them enough they need some more. Just keep giving that to the women. Keep feeding that. Then they all toxic and whatever. So I was explaining to him about things that were bothering me. And a lot of things do bother me, because I'm like, how can people see this? That's the kind of person I am. Like, I'm like ranting and raving in my mind. And I ranted and raved to him for like 2 or 3 times. And he couldn't take it anymore. He's like, I can't take it. So now I don't rant and rave. I just like tell him certain things, and I tell him what I think about it. And it was around the time of when people were canceling Ellen DeGeneres, and they were canceling Dave Ramsey, and then somebody else got canceled in that same time period. And I have been traveling, and one thing I like about traveling outside of the country is that when you come back into the country, you recognize how many franchises and just out of the box like stores that we have. They're all the same brands. No matter what city you go into, and we play this game sometimes when we go on a road trip. Like, okay, if we were gonna start a town, what stores would we want to put in first? And I limited him to like 20 stores, and that's just how cookie cutter America is. Like, I want a dollar store. I want like the Dollar General. I want a Kroger's or Randall, whatever name brand grocery store. I want a Target. I want a What else? What else did you think? Do I want a TGI Fridays or do I want the Capitol Grill? It's all this cookie cutter type stuff where people, our American society believes that there's a system to everything and a protocol to everything. But it's like we made that stuff up. It's all make believe. We made that up. But people want it and demand it and feel like they're entitled to it. Like they act like it's not made up. A dress code is made up. Somebody made up the idea of having a dress code, and now all of a sudden people want to talk about this and talk about that. It's up to you to take it however you want to take it, okay? But yeah, but one thing I told him, because I know it seems, I was like, because we have all these systems and people think the organizations owe them something, now we have this idea of canceling people, right? And I said, I don't agree with that. Even if the person is not the nicest or doesn't function the way that you want them to function, why can't you just go away, pick up your bed, walk, and build your own? What gives you the right to come up into what somebody else built and slander it so you can crumble it? What is that saying about our lack of creativity, our need for destruction? Now, I'm not saying that you have to accept anything from anybody, but it's very amazing and very dangerous. It is very dangerous to believe that's the right thing to do, because if more and more people believe like that, which I don't care who they are, they owe me this, they weren't nice to me, or I don't agree with their religious practices in the business, you want to go destroy somebody else's what they built from the ground up. You are no one. Oh, they were also trying to cancel J-Lo because J-Lo came out with a high-end makeup line. That's who it was. So it was Dave Ramsey, it was Ellen DeGeneres, and it was J-Lo. All these people are above 50 years old, and now you got these young people. They can't even build a Build-A-Bear and get out of their mama house. They don't make, I like the new saying, you on your mama Wi-Fi. You on your mother's Wi-Fi and your mother's phone plan, and you trying to cancel what somebody else has built in their lifetime. Wow. This is where we're at now? This is where we're at? Wow. I cannot, like, and that's when I say I'm so far from mainstream. Like, I'm just not here for it. I'm not here for, and that's why I will kindly just say nope, or I would just kindly cut you off or cut it away. I can't even let it bother me because, like, I got on and I said I'll rant and rave and stuff like that. But my boyfriend's really taught me to not even do that, and he's like, and I was like, I don't see how you don't like just get like, I just can't believe this, because I'm just giving you guys trivial things, not like major things, because we do know so many major things out there, right? But just trivial things like that. And he's like, it's just because I got my own problems, my own life to live, and he lives a very carefree life. Everything. You talking about carefree? I mean carefree. I mean, look, like he just gliding around. Like he does have stress and stuff like that, but he doesn't have. And when you're around different kinds of people, the trappings that our society is trying to put us into, which a lot of people have succumbed to. And I said that, like, when I travel outside into different countries, you really recognize that one of the biggest things that I notice is that when you go to different countries, you don't see all the logos. You don't see all the franchises. You don't see all the brands. All that stuff is gone. And I think it's more beautiful. because you get to see people and really look at if it's interesting or not. You don't get to first look at them and then be like, "Oh, that costs that or that don't cost much." You just get to look and see if it's interesting, and I think that is a more authentic way that we are supposed to live, but we are being pushed so far away from that. We're being pushed to define ourselves and to spend so much time defining ourselves. I'm gonna say another thing that people that is not mainstream. Who cares? Who cares? And it goes back to me being in yoga as well. Who cares? By the if you are really and I'm just using it as like a real example. Like I said, when I started yoga, I was really heavy and stuff like that. Like I was physically uncomfortable. And I would struggle. I would struggle so hard on my little mat, my little 6 feet by 3 feet, that by the time I was done, and you take something they call shavasana at the end, where it's basically like you just lay out. Um, by the time I was done, I had to take a moment to look around and recognize, am I in the same room? That was my first part. Hey Kay, I did see your comment and I do appreciate you saying that I'm your spirit animal. And I appreciate you saying that I'm calm, because I'm not always calm. In my own head, I'm not. 4 of my videos recently, so introspective, but I'm grateful you get on the camera when you fleshed out your inner intentions. Oh yeah. Because we got too much chaos in the world. I don't want to bring more chaos. That's not what I want to do. So I will cut away so many things to not bring chaos. Whether I agree with you or don't agree with you, I am not the one to bring chaos into your environment. Oh my God, another thing. Another thing that I recognize seriously is I was cutting things off and saying no, and people tried to make me seem like I'm the bad guy when I cut. Or when I say I'm not going, I'm not putting up with it. I don't need a conversation. I'm not doing it anymore. What I recognize about myself, because sometimes that can make you feel like a coward, or sometimes that can leave you open to be portrayed as a liar or things that you are not. If you just say, I remember back in my previous job, somebody didn't agree with a phone conversation, an internal employee didn't agree with the phone conversation I had with them. And they called my manager, which is like so stupid, because I was already like so high up there that a manager is just like, whatever, dude. It was, that kind of relationship. So the manager was like, "Oh, well, how'd your conversation go with such and such?" I said it was all right to me, and he was like, "Well, that's not what she said." I was like, "Well, go ahead and go with what she said." He was like, "No, no, no, that's the wrong attitude." I was like, "Nope, you said that's not what she said, so she the one talking. Let her talk about it." And what I recognize is people would always try to make me feel that I was responsible for other people's perception about me. But I always knew that it doesn't work for me. I always knew I got better things to do with my time than to clear up or get on your scale about what I should be. You either like me, I fit here, I do a good job, I'm for you, I'm not, whatever. You work through that. You work through it. Because I'm going to be over here working on me. And I'm going to bring my hard working self and my ability to relate to people in a genuine way without the need to take anything from them and be okay with it. And I was reading something and I was like, oh my God. It would bother me sometimes. It used to bother me emotionally because I feel like I was like fighting against what other people wanted me to be. And I feel like I've suffered with that for so long. And I know that God Himself has released me from that. I will no longer fight against other people's perceptions of me. And one of the most freeing things is very simple: I will not be the antagonist in anybody else's story. Nope, not here for it. Girl, bye. If you think that I am about to waste the luxury of my time, because time is a luxury, being your antagonist, girl, you have got the wrong novel, the wrong narrative, girl. You need to go review the plot line, because that's, girl, no. But I recognize how many people, especially in ethnic cultures. When I say ethnic, it's not just black. I'm talking anybody that's, immigrants, whatever. It's all people. I just won't be Right, protagonist. I can't, girl. I'll be your supporting character, girl. I will be the extra. I will be, girl. I will be a non-factor. I will be unnamed. I will be, as they say, girl number one, girl number two. What I will not be is your antagonist. No, ma'am. No, madam. No way. No, God. I'm not. I am not put here on this earth to do that. I got too much movement to do. I've got too much capability to move on, to sit here and just be an antagonist. And I think, and I'm gonna hurry up and get off of here because I've been on here 49 minutes, which is why I don't have a lot to say. I think a lot of people get stuck on that idea of life is full of opponents. One of my favorite movies, I think I do want to just sit down and talk about all my favorite movies and shows and books and stuff. I know the arrival. It's not like, oh my god, like, but it's a thought changing type movie. And long story short, aliens come to town or whatever, and they're trying to learn how to communicate with the aliens to figure out what they want and all that, blah blah blah. But there's no language at all, not at all. I know I've talked about this on this channel. And they try symbols, they try letters, they try all this stuff, and then they have to go with gestures, and then they find out, this is the American people, then they find out over there in China somewhere, the way that they learn to communicate is through games. And the American person who is the protagonist, all of a sudden, and I like this movie because there's no real antagonist in it, I don't think, except maybe people like ready to shut down the project. But she just goes ballistic, and I can't figure out why. She starts racing, and the music starts picking up. And you're like, why is she acting like this over that? Just because they teaching the aliens how to play games and learn to communicate. And then she finally runs to where she run into and catches her breath and gets up in the person's face and is like, why? It's because if you teach somebody to communicate playing a game, then you'll only have a winner and a loser. Wow. And what do you think happens whether the person you can't understand is a winner or loser or not? What do you think is going to happen? They're going to try to dominate you no matter what. And I think a lot of people think about life as winners and losers. And that automatically puts you into a section of you're either dominated or the dominator. And that's exactly the environment that our society brings, right? The old society wanted you to be competitive. I don't know. This new society just wants you to roll over. You just take it. Just don't worry. Don't worry. You just take it until we tell you the word. But we're not going to tell you the word. We're just going to tell you now it's your time to take care of yourself. But I digress, right? But it's very interesting to think how a lot of people really do think about life as either being a winner, a loser, an opponent. It's time to manipulate or to be manipulative, because that's a big one. You got a lot of manipulative people right now, like a lot. Like, I hate to say it, but I know people who really made money in this last year. I mean, they did. I mean, y'all, people wanted to buy things that they had to sell. Okay. And it is what it is. It is what it is. But I don't want to be, like I said in the beginning, in a place that I'm being moved by anything other than calmness and comfort and the full knowing that I'm my own responsibility and that this is my space. This is what I came here with. This is all I have to walk through this life with. So, yep, that's kind of like my mindset and where I've been, like why I've been quiet. I just need that quiet time to like cut down on the noise. Um, and I did cut off a lot of people, and I do tell people no a lot, which is so funny because the people that do know me, my coworkers, or people that know me, they all say they all say, I know you don't care. I know you don't care. That's what they say, like whenever it's like bad news or drama or like something in the news, they're like, I know you don't care, but I'm just gonna just wait, just hear me out.